Success Radio USA's Profiles of Success is brought to you in part by the 365 Grand Club, Colorado Springs' only elite urban downtown club. Don't like having to park downtown? Don't like paying full price for great dining? Hate working out in crowded gyms? Use your 365 Grand Club card and forget all of that. Enjoy the benefits of downtown with ease and prestige. Get your club card today by visiting www.365grandclub.com. That's 365grandclub.com. Go there today and join the club, the 365 Grand Club. And now let's join your hosts of Profiles of Success, Chuck Bader and Jerry Evans.
Welcome to Profiles of Success. I'm your host, Chuck Bader.
And I'm Jerry Evans. Always a pleasure to have you here on the program. And thank you for joining us once again on Profiles of Success. Remember that you can find us by going to our Facebook page at Success Radio USA or by going to our website at successradio.us. We'd like to invite you to register with us there for free.
Free.
You will get a... Did you say free again?
Free, the big four-letter F word that we love.
You're amazing. Anyway, you will get a free ebook download as our gift to you. And now that you are one of those who take success seriously, you can subscribe to Success Radio USA for only a few dollars a month and have total access to our show's archives on demand and our Success Library of ebooks, which are also free to members.
Absolutely.
So there you go.
And as we talked about in the last segment, I'm willing to pay for the first 5 subscriptions. We have one opportunity left. So you call in, one subscription left, and I'll be paying for it for you.
Man, so 4 people have already responded for that. That's awesome.
Hey, we just got to move ahead on this stuff, so keep moving forward, right?
Being the rich entrepreneur that you are, I'm sure that you can handle that, right?
At $3.99 a month, you couldn't handle that.
I was going to say it's not a lot. I mean, $4 a month, basically. So anyway, today we have a great program in store for us. You know, one of my friends for many, many years, a co-worker in the past of my life, and so we stayed in contact, and he's on the program for today, and want to introduce our guest for today, Mr. Jim Arthur. Jim, thank you for being here.
Fellas, thank you. Pleasure to be here. Thanks.
Okay, so let's kick it off with the fact that I guess you always like to have the background, right?
Oh, of course, yes.
Yeah, okay, so we'll get some background. Like, where did you actually... Were you born, or were you like hatched, or?
Well,
and just take it from there.
They're still thinking about that.
Okay.
Born in New York, raised in Denver.
Okay, now being in New York, how much of a fan are you of either the Yankees or Mets?
Hate the Yankees, love the Mets. When you're from Long Island, you're a Met fan. If you live in the city, you're a Yankee fan. That's how it works.
Is that the requirement?
You got that, Chuck?
That's
okay.
exactly right. Yeah.
Chuck knows very little about sports, so that's why I'm trying to clarify this whole thing.
You need to know that. So I'm a big Met fan and a big New York Ranger hockey.
Okay, and Rangers. Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, my goodness.
My beloved New York Rangers.
Okay, so when did you end up in Colorado?
1971 was when we moved out. My dad was transferred out here, so we moved out to Denver, which was interesting because lived in New York City and lived on Long Island, and then came out to Denver and went into Aurora. And what was interesting was Denver was just starting to grow, and the suburbs were just starting to grow. Mm-hmm. So here we are, we're from New York, and so we're now out in the wild, wild west is where we are.
I think so.
And this is a true story. So we're in this house had just been built, brand new housing development, and there weren't even any fences up to separate the properties. And we're there 3 days, 72 hours, and we have an outdoor concrete patio, not very big. And my mom looks out the window one day, and there's a woman riding a horse. She rides up to the property, gets off the horse, and sits down and has a picnic lunch on the patio.
Why not?
We're from New York. This doesn't happen in New York. Are you kidding me?
Exactly, yes.
That was my welcome to Colorado. It really, really was.
Got Danny Oakland's out there on horseback nowadays even.
It could have been. I don't know if she had a 6-shooter, but it was crazy. You're not used to that. You're from New York, and you're used to cabs and skyscrapers and this and everything else. And that was hello, Colorado.
And of course, back then, even today, Denver skyline certainly doesn't compare with New York skyline.
Oh, not even close.
Well, it's interesting because I love New York, and I'll always say I'm from New York, but I'm so glad I'm living in Colorado. I love going back. I love visiting, but there's something about the lifestyle out here. And you can have big city in Denver. You can have small city, where we are in the Springs.
Right.
And New York is 3 hours away by plane, and that's fine. And love visiting back there, but love living out here.
Okay. So from there, you went on to school, and then how did your life progress from there?
Well, that's interesting, because when I graduated from high school, and I was an average student, here's what kind of student I was. I got by a little bit on what I thought was my charm. I took a Spanish class in 11th grade, and my teacher, I remember this to the day I die, was Adrienne Sheehy, a nice lady, semi-attractive, and she felt bad for me because I had a tough time acclimating to Spanish. I really did. But I passed the class. The grade she gave me, honest to goodness, D minus.
Whoa!
A D minus
scraping by,
to say the least.
So we're starting here at the bottom of the barrel when you think about this, okay? And then we're thinking, once we get to that point of where is Jim Arthur now?
It doesn't get much better, to be honest with you. But so went to school in Aurora, at a brand new high school, Cherry Creek School District. And then everybody at the time was going to college. So I thought, I'm going to go to college, having no idea what I wanted to do with the rest of my life.
Who doesn't, right?
Right. At that point, a lot of us don't.
Right, you're right.
Yes.
And went to college, went 1 year at Fort Lewis, and had no idea what I was really doing.
Fort Lewis in Durango, Colorado.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Beautiful part of Colorado. If you ever get down to Durango, it's just gorgeous. Up along there. And I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I went for a year, and I left, and I knew I wasn't going to go back. Knew there was no way I was going back. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew what I wasn't going to do.
Right.
My mother suggested, why don't you get into broadcasting? You like sports, you yap all the time, we can't shut you up. Why don't you get into broadcasting? Okay, I'll try it. Now, there's a lot of ways, as we all know, of getting into broadcasting. There's I was talking about this with somebody the other day, and a lot of people will go to college. Chris Fowler, who's on ESPN, went to CU. Of course, he spent a little bit of time in Colorado Springs.
Yes, he did, yeah.
Played tennis, I believe, at, I want to say, Wasson or Palmer High School.
I believe it was Wasson.
Okay. Yeah. Played a little bit of tennis there. And Syracuse is a great university for broadcasting. There's a lot of big names that have come out of Syracuse. I went to the prestigious Columbia School of Broadcasting.
You saw the commercials all the time.
Not associated with ABC, CBS, NBC, or any other affiliated broadcast organization. They had to have that tag right at the end of it.
I still got you beat. I went to Elkins Institute, okay?
and Columbia was a trade school.
Okay.
1 hour once a week.
Wow.
1 hour once a week. And that's where I went for 15 months.
Man.
Yeah. Pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Then you got your first job?
My instructor was George Shannon. My name is George Shannon.
The voice of God.
Oh, my gosh. It came from the sub-level, okay? My name is George Shannon. And he essentially taught you the difference between a newscast, DJing, sports, commercials, and whatnot. And now this is where our good friend to our left comes in. When I was done, they had a placement program at the Columbia School of Broadcasting. Right. And there was a woman who had left just prior to me named Karen Land at the time. You want to explain a little bit about Karen Land?
Well, Karen Land, 1976, Miss Colorado. And married to the owner of they had just taken over as new owners of a radio station in Trinidad, Colorado. KCRT, which I was working at that time, but actually I had been there prior to that, went to Craig, Colorado, came back to KCRT in Trinidad, and I was there less than probably about 3 weeks or so when they took over ownership. Now, as everybody who's ever been in radio would ever testify, whenever a new ownership comes in, a lot of times they clean house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I was like, maybe this wasn't the best decision on my part, but I stuck it out, and we all kind of handled each other and had a good time. And so it was pretty exciting to actually have them take over the ownership, because both of them were just about, they were a little bit older than I was. And for Karen to be a 1976 Miss Colorado, they took over this particular radio station in 1981. So she wasn't that far removed from being Miss Colorado. Mm-hmm. And so she had a lot of prestige that she brought to the whole radio station atmosphere. So,
oh yeah.
She had just graduated from Columbia.
That's right.
School of Broadcasting. And they had, I believe, I don't remember his name, you might. They had a gentleman who did the morning show and then went and taught at the local high school, I believe.
I remember.
And they wanted to replace him and I guess bring somebody in full time. So they went back to Columbia to see who was coming out of broadcasting school. And it just happened to be me.
Good timing.
Yeah, it was. So I went in 1981. And it's interesting because I went, and you were in Trinidad, left and came back, and I did the same thing. I was in Trinidad from 81 to 82, went back to Denver, not sure if I wanted to get into this crazy business. Mm-hmm. And got married, and then found I missed this crazy business and came back in 1983.
Okay, let's leave it there, because we're going to have to take a break here. But this is where it kind of really gets interesting, how things started to, kind of mushroom as far as where his career
or a car crash. I mean, take your pick.
Yeah. I'm not sure how it's going to all work out. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll just hold off on that and come back and cover it in the second segment.
And what do our listeners do while we're on the break here?
Well, they should get a pen and paper, shouldn't they, Chuck?
I think they should.
Okay, hold the paper up to the window, even though they can't see it.
Well, the Facebook Livers can. The ambitious people can see that.
Okay.
But if you haven't seen one before, this is called paper. It's been around for a couple of millennia. And then they got this writing stick called a pen, and you write down the name and the phone number and the website. And, oh, my gosh, my computer needs help. Who do I call? Elk Creek Computing. But you got to do it on your refrigerator. We'll be right back.
Success Radio USA is always looking for ways to help you succeed. Whether it's offering a word of encouragement or sharing practical information that can give you the competitive edge. So you'll want to pay close attention to this. Our new sponsor, the 365 Grand Club, can give you the edge when conducting business in downtown Colorado Springs. You might want to entertain a potential client or just show appreciation to a loyal business partner. Either way, your new 365 Grand Club card is your passport to downtown Colorado Springs. Your club card gives you access to discounts, business perks, making new business connections, and the convenient private concierge service that makes getting around town hassle-free. Enjoy the benefits of downtown with ease and prestige. Get your club card today by visiting www.365grandclub.com. That's 365grandclub.com. Get yours this week and join the club, the 365 Grand Club.
It gives clarity to problem solving. It increases production and focus on the job. It alleviates sleepless and restless nights and fends off stress and tension headaches. No, it's not the latest energy drink or health supplement. It's Legal Shield. Get peace of mind every day, every night, now and forever. Legal Shield. Get it.
To find out more about Legal Shield and how it can protect your family and your business, call Andrea at area code 719-243-3174. That's area code 719-243-3174. Legal Shield. Listening to Success Radio USA at successradio.us. Success Radio USA is committed to helping you achieve a positive daily approach to your success each and every day. Thank you for listening.
Success Radio USA.
Thank you for tuning in to Profiles of Success. I'm your host, Chuck Bader.
Now I don't have to read the first line, okay, because you just said it right there.
Did I do that? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm stepping on you.
That's all right. You did great. I'm Jerry Evans, and remember that you can find us by going to our Facebook page at Success Radio USA or by going to our website at successradio.us. Now, we'd like to invite you to register with us there for free. There's that wonderful four-letter word, and you will get a free ebook download as our gift to you. Now, what did you say earlier in the program?
It's only $3.99 per month, less than $1 a week, and I've got one slot left I will buy for you.
See there? Okay. So, this man will go to great lengths and spend huge amounts of money just for you. Okay. Remember that now that you are one of those who take success seriously, you can subscribe to Success Radio USA for only a few dollars a month and have total access to our show's archives on demand and our Success Library of ebooks, which are also free to members.
Now, one of the reasons I'm doing the free subscription is I'm kind of carrying on an idea that Dean Graziosi had when he wrote the book,
Joe, why do you always mess this one up?
Millionaire Success Habits, because everybody uses Millionaire Secret Success in the books and you get them all mixed up. But Millionaire Success Habits by Dean Graziosi, he gave away the books, still giving away the books, right? And it was great because that was one of the two best, most concise self-development books I've ever read. The Millionaire Success Habits by Dean Graziosi and The Answer by John Assaraf. Two books you want to start with if you've never done this before. But because he gave those out, it gave me a lot of tools that helped me in my business. So we want to give you a free subscription to Success Radio USA to help you get these resources and tools and insights and ideas and experience to help you start living something that makes you happy. And this is one thing Jim talked about as well. He knew what he didn't want, and that's the easier way to find it a lot of times, right? Right? Tony Robbins will do that. What do you want in life? I don't know. Well, what don't you want? Blah, 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 blah. Big list, right? And pretty soon, at some point, you're going to run out of things. It's like, well, there's that one thing I do love. Yep. So, yeah, we want to help people do that. So going back to you for a second on that, just lost the thought.
You lost your train of thought?
No. So you said that you got out of it for a while and just felt like you wanted to get back into it. So it was not a career decision or a financial decision or a logical decision. It was an emotional decision that got you back into broadcasting.
It certainly wasn't a financial decision because had I known, I'll tell you what.
I can testify to that, too.
That would have been a no.
I remember asking Tony Cranford, who Tony and Karen were married. They ran the station in Trinidad. I came back. I wanted a raise. I said, Tony, I need a raise. And I was making $800 a month.
Now, what year was this?
1983. And needed a raise. And Tony sat there, and Tony's from Texas. I love Tony, and I give Tony and Karen and Jerry especially a lot of credit for where I am today. And
the studio audience is applauding.
And I said, Tony, I need a raise. And Tony said, Tony was from Texas, and he said, Art, are you sure you're not living way above your means?
I remember that conversation. Yeah.
I said, Tony, I'm making $800 a month. Yeah. If ketchup on the table is living way above my means, come on, are you kidding me? You look back and you laugh at it now, but at the time, you're newly married, expecting a child, and wasn't so funny at the time.
Oh, yeah.
So I came back and met Jerry. And Jerry was there both times I was there, okay. 81 to 82, and then I came back, 83. Radio and broadcasting, once it gets into your system, and he can attest to this because he's sitting right here doing this.
That's right.
He's a little smarter because he got into a better paying job than broadcasting. But it's hard to get out of your system. There's something so unique about the broadcasting profession.
Right.
It's a lot more corporate than it was. It's not as fun as it used to be. It's still fun, but it's changed quite a bit. I don't know if it's funnier.
No, but it's fun here is what he said.
Oh, this is a lot of fun. Absolutely.
Yeah, this is great.
But it gets in your system, and I missed it, so I decided to make that move and go back and get back into it. That was 1983.
Right. Now, I remember the first night that he came in the first time, I was there, and I was kind of showing him the ropes. Do you want to tell the story about the tagline?
I'll let you tell the story. I still tell it to this day because it feels like it happened like an hour ago.
We had, one of the advertisers at the local radio station was Safeway, and they had a tagline. And the tagline, because it incorporated 3 separate communities, Trinidad, Raton, and Walsenburg. And the tagline was, right at the end, was Shop Safeway in Trinidad, Raton, and Walsenburg. So we played. I was about ready to play the commercial, and I looked over at him, and I said, I want you to do the tagline. He kind of looked at me with big, eyes and everything, like, you want me to go on the air now? And I said, yeah, why not? He goes, okay. So I said, all you got to do is once the commercial's over, just say, Shop Safeway, Trinidad, Raton, and Walsenburg. He said, okay. Commercial plays, gets right to the end. He comes out and he says, Shop Trinidad and Trinidad, Raton, and Walsenburg. People in Trinidad did not even realize what he had said. And I was like, okay. I tried to process that for a minute. We went on to the next thing, or the next commercial, or the song, or whatever. And I said, do you realize what you just said? And he goes, what? I said, Shop Trinidad and Trinidad, Raton, and Walsenburg. To this day, it's got its own little legacy.
It does, and to this day, I keep thinking Mr. Safeway was going to call and say, "What in God's name did I hear about?"
But now it's a little what they call teachable moment here.
It really is.
There were a lot of those.
Yes. So, okay, go ahead.
Well, I don't know if you guys heard how Larry King started, but I was listening to him years ago at the post office, and his first day on the job, he walks in the studio, all set up just like we are. It comes time for him to get on the air. The on-air light comes on, and he thought he always wanted to do it, right? It's like, oh, it's my big moment, whatever. On-air comes on, he freezes up. Yeah. He's just sitting there. The, whatever you call a producer walks in and said, this is the communication industry, and it kind of shocked him out of it, and he started rolling. Yeah. But how many times do you think you really want to do this, and then you get there and you freeze up? Well, get over it. A little bit of a nudge and you're good.
There's a lot of those moments in broadcasting and radio and television. I've done a little TV, and there's a lot of those moments because you realize it's live. Yeah. Nothing replaces live. And I'm lucky because what I do today is still live in an industry where very little is live these days, in radio specifically. Yeah,
you're absolutely right about that. And so from that point on, you get back in 1983 into Trinidad again. So from that point, I think if I remember correctly, you decided, okay, I'm going to use this as a learning experience. I'm going to use this as something to develop my skills and then go on from there. So what prompted you to want to do that?
I realized that working in Trinidad, there was a ceiling, and it was a low ceiling financially.
$800 a month.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And if you're not the general manager, and if you're not an account executive, you're not going to make much money. And I'm also from New York City and was raised in Denver. And so the thought was of getting back to Denver because that's where the big money is.
Oh, yeah.
With the air quotes around it. So that was the thought. And so common sense said to me, well, then you got to get better at what you're going to do. And move up the ladder.
There we go.
And that's where this industry is like every other industry. There are people who walk into a bank and they want to be the president of the bank day one.
Right.
And you're not. You're the teller is what you are, or whatever that opening position is. Radio is a very, very same way. And I thought, okay, if I'm going to move up, if I'm going to make more money, if I'm going to work in Denver, those are my goals, make more money, work in Denver. I've got to get better at what I'm doing so I'm attractive enough to somebody in a little bit of a larger market. Pretty simple. At least I thought so at the time. And so that was the goal. That was the driver. I had a great teacher in Jerry because A, he put up with my mistakes. B, he put up with me in general. C, we roomed together for a while, and that was 81 and 82 before I got married. And he really helped me along the way. And I think a lot of help, there's two kinds of help. There's here's what you do, and here's what you don't do. And I don't think the latter is stressed enough in terms of here's what you don't do.
Right.
My mother has a great line. She says, you have to tell people when they do something wrong. And a lot of people are afraid to do that these days. But you have to know what not to do.
Right.
In addition to the proper way of going about something.
Set the boundaries out on both sides. You bring up a great point about something Zig Ziglar talked about was anything worth doing well is worth doing poorly until you can learn to do it well. So in your situation, and you also bring up a great point about personal responsibility. And this is probably one of the biggest lessons that I'm already seeing from this show is that so many people are in a job where it's $800 a month or whatever it is, and you can't be in the ceiling, all these limitations, and they just complain about it. And Jim Rohn talked about that, Tony Robbins. It's the economy. But when you start focusing inside and say, what do I have control over and what can I do? And in your case, you increase your skill sets to provide value to the marketplace to get the higher income.
I'm
Simple
real big.
Formula.
It is. And you said it well. And I'm big on personal accountability. I'm really big on that because the only person stopping me isn't the GM. Boom. It isn't my program director. Right. It's me. At the end of the day, I need to show value to them at the end of the day.
Right.
It doesn't matter how I dress. It doesn't matter how I look. What I need to do, and this was in Trinidad and Canyon City, which we'll talk about at some point, and up here, was how can I go into a radio station and help my GM make the most amount of money possible?
There you go.
If I can show them that will help me make more money.
Oh, yeah.
That about sums it up right there. It is personal accountability. When you break it all the way down, that's exactly what happens is if you take that responsibility upon yourself and develop your skills, get better, do whatever it is you need to do, whether it's reading books, whether it's getting advice from other people, that's what you need to do in order to achieve that level of success.
And I'll tell you another great book. We always like to throw out book recommendations. Relentless by Wayne Allen Root, R-O-O-T. And he's a guy who took on some enormous goals, but he understood that he had to really push himself and develop his skill sets to provide more value marketplace. So,
I think you have to do that. But long-term, short-term, I think you really have to push yourself. There shouldn't be anybody pushing you.
Exactly.
If somebody's pushing you, you're not pushing yourself hard enough.
Now, we come back. The way you do that is through goals. So we want to hear about your goal-setting process. Right now, we want to hear about a little thing called a piece of paper and a pen and some names and the phone number. You guys are going to be telling me this. You're going to be like texting in here. Okay, Chuck, we get it. I got the pen. I got the paper. But write down the name of our sponsors, please, because they're great. They help us stay on the air, and so make sure you support them. This is Profiles of Success. We'll be right back.
Success Radio USA is always looking for ways to help you succeed, whether it's offering a word of encouragement or sharing practical information that can give you the competitive edge. So you'll want to pay close attention to this. Our new sponsor, the 365 Grand Club, can give you the edge when conducting business in downtown Colorado Springs. You might want to entertain a potential client or just show appreciation to a loyal business partner. Either way, your new 365 Grand Club card is your passport to downtown Colorado Springs. Your club card gives you access to discounts, business perks, making new business connections, and the convenient private concierge service that makes getting around town hassle-free. Enjoy the benefits of downtown with ease and prestige. Get your club card today by visiting www.365grandclub.com. That's 365grandclub.com. Get yours this week and join the club, the 365 Grand Club.
This week, my name is Harley Mitchell. Next week, I'm not sure yet. Maybe I'll use your name. You see, I'm a cyber criminal, and I steal information that defines who you are. Things like your driver's license number, your birth date, your home address, your office address, your social security number, your medical information, insurance cards, business licenses, and if I can get it, your birth certificate. If I can get one, I can get the rest. It's not personal. It's just business. Once I have your information, I bundle it with others and I sell it. Not just once, but over and over and over and over and over.
Due to recent massive data breaches, your personal information is now available for cyber criminals like Harley to buy and sell to their underworld counterparts for profit. Bad people with bad intentions hiding behind your identity. Don't be fooled and lock down your financial life. Use the professionals that Fortune 500 companies use, ID Shield and Legal Shield. It costs less and reaches further. Don't lock down your life. 365. Call Andrea Wacker and get the right protection for the right problem. Andrea Wacker is your Lady of Justice. Call now at 719-243-3174. That's 719-243-3174.
Hey, this is Megan, Cindy, and Sammy, and we are the Success Radio USA singers. Thank you for listening to Success Radio USA.
Success Radio USA.
Welcome back to Profiles of Success. I'm your host, Chuck Bader, along with
Jerry Evans, and I'm going to take a moment off here, and we're going to let our guest, Mr. Jim Arthur, read our, captioning moment here, talking about Profiles of Success. So,
ladies and gentlemen, a paid professional is going to read this message.
Paid professional here, okay?
Ratings are going to sink. Watch this.
Yeah, but the bill's going to go up.
Now that you are one of those who take success seriously, you can subscribe to Success Radio USA. It's only a few dollars a month. You get total access to our show archives on demand and our Success Library of ebooks, and they're free to members. That's a pretty good deal, fellas.
There you go.
All right, Tim, I want you to cut that, and that's going to be our intro every time from now on. Excellent job.
And the crowd goes wild.
Also, we want to remind everybody, please, to go to our Facebook page at Success Radio USA, or you can go also to our website at successradio.us. I had to catch my breath there.
You're choked up, guy, after that read.
I couldn't hardly breathe.
Presence there.
Now, if you notice there, when he was doing that, he was with all the hand gestures.
Oh, yes.
Ever since I've known him, that's the way he talks on the radio. He's got his hand gestures.
I learned that in Trinidad, and you know the gentleman I learned it from. Who lived next door to the radio station?
Oh, Jim Platt.
Jim Platt.
Yeah, that's right.
Jim Platt was an account executive. He owned the station.
He owned the station. He was the one that actually sold it to Tony and Karen Cranford, yeah.
And one of the things he taught me was, especially in radio, where you've got to do a lot with your voice because there's only one sense that we can strike to our audience. He said, talk with your hands. Talk with your hands as much as you can. You will hear it in your voice. And I learned that from Jim Platt.
There you go. Okay.
Well, it's fun. I was in Marine Corps, California, watching Pressure Luck show, and the guy who did the voiceover when they came back in was doing all this stuff, and I thought, isn't that interesting? You know, you don't see it, but he just needs that to pump it up.
Yeah, and it really works. There's a lot to that.
Oh, yeah.
It really, really is.
Well, so we wanted to rehash a lesson from segment 1 that we just thought about, and you had said it was an emotional decision. You know, you're deeply involved in it, and that's one thing I want to point out to the audience is that, you know, you've got to find what's the emotional thing for you, you know, because that's what you wanted to spend your time doing in your life doing and making a living at it. So it wasn't a financial decision. It's just, you know, you had to get back into it because it felt so good to you.
It felt good, and I thought I might be able to have some success. And success is a funny word. You can define that a lot of different ways. I don't think success isn't defined by a paycheck or a title as much. I think it's defined as much by the satisfaction you get when you're driving home each and every day of the job you do. I think that's how each of us needs to define success, no matter what we're doing, regardless of what we're doing.
Well, now let's go to the back neuroscience behind that. And probably one of the best movies that I've always recommended, which really nails the concept, is The Pursuit of Happiness, starring Will Smith, imitating, but acting out the life of Chris Gardner. But really, I mean, that sums up life is it's a pursuit of happiness, because what is happiness and emotion? Well, how are emotions created? Based on circumstances. So you want to find things that make you happy all the time. And you're doing it in broadcasting. I'm doing it in entrepreneurship. You know, Jerry's going to do it in bowling and golf, things like that. But what are the things that you just enjoy doing? That's what you want to pursue and spend your time on.
And I think you have to define that and discover that. And I was lucky because I think I found it early, because one of the things I wanted to do, I wanted to be a sportscaster. Wanted to get into sports. And radio was the vehicle for me to be able to do that.
Right.
And so radio kind of came along for the ride. I still describe myself today. I'm a sportscaster. I'm a news director as well at a radio station in town, at KVOR Radio, and I do a bunch of other things, but I describe myself as a sportscaster more than anything else. That was really the passionate part, and everything else has come along because that's the way today's radio works, at least for the moment. So,
and with that title of sportscaster, you of course have been able to branch out, and you have an amazing opportunity that you've had for a number of years. Tell us about that at the Air Force Academy.
I do radio play-by-play for Air Force football and for Air Force basketball. And that's been so much fun. Every Saturday during football season, it's Christmas. And basketball is great. It's interesting because I grew up with a bunch of buddies and they all wanted to do sports. Oh, I can be a sportscaster. Oh, I'll sit in front of the TV there and I'll sure 3rd and 10 there from the 45 and do all this and do all this and do all this. Well, that's fine, but you need to know, A, the other team, and B, everything else under the sun that you don't know. And what people don't realize is I sit down and get ready for a football game, and if I'm doing it right, it takes 15 hours for one football game.
Even today.
And I don't and none of that gets done between the hours of 5, which is when my shift starts.
5 o'clock in the morning.
5 a.m. None of it gets done at the radio station. All that gets done at home. All of it gets done at home. I consider it a second job. There's a lot of synergies between the two, what I do Monday through Friday and what I do on the weekends. There's a lot, but I still do all that work at home. And there's a lot that goes into it. And showing up and actually doing the game is easier only because of the 15 hours you put in Monday through Friday getting ready for the game.
Wow.
So preparation is really a key as far as I think when you get to that level, you're thinking about, okay, how am I going to make this better? How am I going to make it so that people understand what I'm saying, what I'm doing, and describe and paint that picture on the radio of what's exactly going on out there. And of course, I had the opportunity to do a lot of that for about 11 years while I was in radio as well.
You did.
And it was, I tell you, I think I can speak for him. There's no greater thrill, if you're a real sports nut like both he and I are,
right,
to have that opportunity.
And it's important because it's a narrative.
Right.
It's a narrative. And we did that. I used to be his color guy for Trinidad High School, Trinidad Minor Football, and for, what was the other?
Trinidad
Catholic High School football. And as you move up, and I did a lot of high school football. I was in Canyon City for a while, did a lot of high school football and basketball there. And then when you get, and I was lucky enough to get into college football, and you realize it changes. And it changes quite a bit in the preparation, because there's thousands of people that want the job, that are qualified to have the job, that don't. And I think it's harder to keep the job than it is to get the job.
Interesting.
It really, really is. Yeah.
So it really keeps you on the cutting edge of your skill sets.
It has to. It really, really has to. If you want to stay relevant, and if you want to stay, look, there are guys 20, 25 years younger than me that look better than me, they sound better than me, that are trying to get one of these jobs. And you better be on your A game every weekend. And a lot of that, you're right, Chuck, it goes back to preparation. You have to be prepared. I know my football team pretty well because I see them every week, but I've got to know the other football team just as well.
Yeah.
And that changes every single Saturday. The names change, the numbers change, the statistics change, but you've got to have all that at the ready, and you have to sound like you know what you're doing and tell a story and tell a narrative. That's what we do in sports. It's a narrative that we have to tell, and we have to see it and explain it so people on the other side of these microphones can understand it.
Can you give us maybe some other examples of how you were inspired as far as the sportscasting is concerned? Were there other sources that you adapted to? Or
I was lucky because I grew up part of the years in New York, and I listened to the great Marv Albert, who did radio before he did TV. And Marv was the best. And Marv was good at setting the scene and describing the action. And I've listened to other people along the way. A contemporary today would be Kevin Harlan, who is unbelievable on radio. Unbelievable. He's one of the most versatile sportscasters in the nation. I think he's underrated. He doesn't get the credit he deserves. He's amazing at what he does. And then I think you listen to everybody a little bit, and you try to pick up a little bit of something from everybody in terms of what they say, how they're describing something, because you have to be able to put a picture in somebody's mind of a football field, of a basketball court, and what's going on those fields of play. That's what you have to do.
But you bring up a really good point, and this is where I think a lot of people get discouraged and give up on the dreams or their goals is the amount of preparation. You know, you look at a Michael Jordan or Wayne Gretzky or even a John Wooden, all the preparation behind the scenes. The easiest way for people to understand this is like cooking a meal. I mean, you walk into a restaurant and you sit down and you have this plate, but you don't realize people had to order the ingredients, ship the ingredients in, train the cook, get the meal. I mean, there's so much preparation before the final product is delivered. So you don't just sit down in front of a microphone on game day and all of a sudden you got this down. People see the results of all that.
That's right.
They
don't see the work of all that. So you mentioned John Wooden.
Right.
So people see John Wooden and they think about John Wooden and all of his great accomplishments at UCLA, but they have no idea what he did to get to UCLA and to get into the position.
Oh, yeah.
Same with Michael Jordan. I mean, they have no idea. He played basketball at North Carolina, fine, but you weren't there when he was an 11th grader in high school, opening the gym at 5 a.m. to shoot hoops. Nobody sees the preparation. All we see are the results of everything. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why people get discouraged.
Oh, yeah.
They see the results. They don't see the preparation and all that has led to, and the results that are accomplished as a result of that. Nobody sees that. They just, wow, okay, that guy does that, must be easy. I can do that.
Tiger Woods is a classic example because, he ascended to number one for many, 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 many weeks and whatnot. And, of course, he's trying to attempt to come back and almost had a chance to win the British Open this past weekend. Now, the thing about with Tiger Woods, he said at one point when he was in his prime, 1,000 golf balls every week. 1,000 golf balls every week. He was hitting the ball. And when you think about that, that's preparation.
We see Tiger Woods play. It's a great example. We don't see him practice.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We don't see him practice.
You're right.
And that's where all that lies. You see Jim Nance. Jim Nance worked in Salt Lake City at a TV station before being signed by CBS. So everybody knows Jim Nance from CBS. Nobody, except for those in Utah, know what he did prior to that and all the work he did prior to that.
Oh, yeah. Well, this goes back to the main point you brought before, is you do it for the emotional reason. You do it because when you're Michael Jordan practicing at 5 a.m., it's not because you're trying to get a basketball career to earn $1 million. It's because you love playing basketball. And so if you do it at 5 o'clock in the morning, 16 hours a day, you're loving what you're doing. And even if you never make it to the goal you desire, you have not wasted your time.
Well, and you want to get better.
Yes.
At the end of the day, you want to get better. And to me, that's a conscious thing. My next football game, I want it to be better than any one of the 12 I called last year.
Right.
The same with basketball. I want it to be better than what I did. And you can't go through the motions. You can't put it in neutral.
Nope, not at all. Right now we have to go to the break, so we're going to come back from neutral after the break. But again, pen, paper, write down the names of the websites. We'll be right back. Hello, I'm Chuck Bader.
And this is Jerry Evans.
And you're invited to join us on Profiles of Success, where we feature stories of successful businesses and successful individuals.
You can find us on TuneIn Radio, SoundCloud, or Stitcher by searching Success Radio USA. Or go to our website at successradio.us.
Our current program is available every day, 2 p.m. Mountain Time, Monday through Friday. We air new programs on every Monday. These are programs which are designed to guide you along your path of success, to provide you with the information, the inspiration, and the motivation to achieve your goals. Right here on Profiles of Success on Success Radio USA.
Have you ever thought about hosting your own radio show? Well, broadcasting and hosting your own radio show on the Internet Broadcasting Network is the perfect way to get your message out in a dynamic, effective, and timely way. You will gain instant credibility as the expert by showcasing your knowledge and capabilities. Never been in front of a studio microphone before? No problem. We will empower you to become the best host you can be by using our expertise in all aspects of producing, engineering, and marketing a high-quality quality, professional sounding broadcast for your show. You will discover that utilizing the power and flexibility of the Internet Broadcasting Network can keep you in front of any audience you choose. Friends, family, existing clients, it doesn't matter. Over time, they can become a natural referral source. Monetize your show by selling audio spots during your program and placement ads on your show website. Sound interesting? Go to ibroadcasting.us for more information and give us a call. We will help you through every step of the way. This is the IB Network. Listening to Success Radio USA at successradio.us. Success Radio USA is your source for inspirational, motivational, informative, and life-changing daily content. Thank you for listening.
Success Radio USA.
We are glad you are here on Profiles of Success. I'm your host, Chuck Bader.
And I'm Jerry Evans. Remember that you can find us by going to our Facebook page at Success Radio USA or by going to our website at successradio.us. I'd like to invite you to register with us there for free, and you will get a free ebook download as our gift to you. Chuck is buying one more.
Yes, on me.
All right. And now that you are one of those who take success seriously, you can subscribe to Success Radio USA for only a few dollars a month. In fact, it's only $3.99 a month. All
Under
right?
$1 a week.
And have total access to our show's archives on demand. And our Success Library of ebooks are also available. They are free to our members.
So what's your excuse? What's your holdback? What's your reason? There is none.
There is none.
So here we talk about Jim Arthur had started off and put the hours into it, put the work into it, understood the passion part of it, that he felt like he wanted to be in this business. That's a huge part of it. Saw that he wasn't where he wanted to be, so he realized that he had to take responsibility and he had to increase his skill sets in the marketplace to achieve where he wanted to be. And now let's go ahead and list off where you're at as of today.
Right now,
accomplishments.
I'm the news director at KVOR Radio, along with the morning co-host. I'm also promotions director. I do play-by-play football, basketball for the Air Force Academy. And I model suits once. No, I'm just kidding.
You did, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't? I thought you did.
Give me a break. Are you kidding me? And one of the things I'm most proudest of, I've been at KVOR since 1989.
Wow.
That is longevity.
Yeah, it is. It's probably one of the most senior guys out there.
It's crazy. It's bizarre. I never understood. Radio's a funny business, and there are a lot of talented people. And there's a lot of talented people that in the last 15 years have had 5 radio jobs. I don't understand that. If you're really talented and you're really good, I don't understand why you still don't have that one job. And I'm not saying I'm really talented, I'm really good. I've liked Colorado Springs and things have worked out, but I've never understood where, well, we just hired, Fred Schmickpepley, and boy, Fred is really, really talented. You look at his resume, and Fred's been at 7 radio stations in 14 years. Well, if he's so talented, why is he at 7 radio stations? Why at some point did the guy say, hey, Fred, we can't use you anymore. You sound great. See you, bye, out the door. I don't understand that. We're in an interesting business, an interesting time right now. And I don't understand that, but that is what it is. So.
You could not have done a better job if you'd rehearsed and prepared the segue to the next question.
Which is?
Which is?
The reason they haven't, and the reason he has, comes down to another 4-letter word, goal.
Goals are interesting because I think you're constantly redefining them in some small way. I wanted to work in Denver. I thought Denver was the promise.
That was his goal.
Had an offer to go to Denver. Didn't go to Denver. I like where I'm at, and obviously I do. I'm here 29 years. I tell people I can't find another job, is what I tell them. I love the Springs. I love the people I work with. I love working with the Air Force Academy. And I think goals change from time to time. There was a time I wanted to be on TV, and I was for a short time. I worked at Channel 5. I did weekend sports, 99 to 2000.
Didn't know that, did you, Chuck?
For a short time. And, then they realized they couldn't Photoshop, and then I was out of luck. So.
Back to the mic.
So, exactly right. So I did that. And, I still have some goals in mind, some things I'd like to accomplish. I don't know if I necessarily would share them, but still things I would like to do, because I think you have to keep goals out there.
Oh, yeah.
You need to keep reaching. You need to not be satisfied with what you do. You have to keep pushing. You can't rely on anybody else to push yourself. And one of the things I do, there's two things I want to talk about. I want to talk about this book in a second, but one of the things I do, three very simple things. And the first one is, no matter what, and these apply to no matter what kind of business you're in, work hard. I don't care what you're doing. Work hard.
How many times have we said that on this program?
That's a big part of it. It's a huge part.
But a lot of people don't understand what work hard means. They wait for the clock to say, okay, you've been here 8 hours, and they're out the door.
Bam.
Right. Number two, develop the necessary tools. I think that's critical. Whatever you're doing, if you want to grow, get good at what you're trying to get good at and push yourself. And the third thing is, and this is really important, put yourself in position. Okay, at some point, you're either going to knock down the door or the door is going to open for you. Be ready for that time when it happens. Anymore, you got to knock down the door. The doors aren't opening as much as they once did. You've got to push that door down. But put yourself in position, no matter what it is. And you put yourself in position by developing the necessary tools.
Exactly.
And you develop the necessary tools by working hard.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, a couple things. Number one, Oprah Winfrey would describe that as luck, which she defines luck as preparation crossing opportunity.
Exactly.
And number two, the interesting thing, real life story here about having always something to look forward to. George Burns, great comedian. This generation doesn't know about him, but to show you the man's ambition level, he said his philosophy was, you've got to have something that'll get you out of bed every morning. I was told I couldn't do anything in bed anyway. But seriously, when he was reaching his hundreds, Tony Robbins passed that joke on to me. When he was reaching his hundreds, he was still booking shows, even in his 90s, late 90s, still booking shows. Yeah. So it wasn't like I've made my millions and I've got the nice house and I'm just going to retire. That doesn't cut it. People who try that get bored to death sometimes.
They do. It's the drive. It's the satisfaction. Sometimes it's the bright light. That's what gets inside you.
Right.
That's the thing that makes you shine is that bright light. There's a great line from A League of Their Own. Great baseball movie, Gina Davis, Tom Hanks. And Gina Davis only played one year in the Women's Professional Baseball League, and her husband came back from the war, and there's a scene where she's standing by the car, and her husband are going to go back to Oregon, and the World Series is about to start. And she wants to go back and make babies. And Tom Hanks says, I'm paraphrasing, now, where are you going? She says, well, we're going back to Oregon. And he's angry because she's a great ball player, best he's ever seen, and she wants to go and leave before the World Series. And at one point, she looks at Jimmy Dugan. Tom Hanks was Jimmy Dugan. And she looks and says, Jimmy, it just got too hard. And he looks at her, and you can see his eyes glisten. And he says, it's supposed to be hard. If it wasn't hard, everybody would do it. And then he leans in and he says, the hard is what makes it great.
I love that.
I love that line.
Never heard that, but
I love that line in that movie.
It is. And that says a lot, I think, for whatever your goals are. It says a lot for whatever you want to be and who you are and where you want to go. The hard is what makes it great.
Is that what you might say is one of your strategies for winning?
Well, that's funny you say that, Mr. Play on Words right there, because one of the books that I still read occasionally to this day is a book by Carl Mays called Strategies in Winning. And I came across it in 1988, 89, or 90 and actually interviewed him. And it's a great book, and it talks about life, and it talks about perseverance, and that's another word that we didn't talk about. But perseverance, it means an awful lot. But this book is about just trying to find your way and things you need to do. And look, we're all born with the same amount of talent, and it's what you do with it. It's how you sharpen it, and it's how you go about enhancing it and building it and building it. It's like constructing an office building. You have to lay a foundation, and then you work from there. And this book is, I highly recommend it. It's out of print, but I bet you can still find it online, especially Strategies in Winning by Carl Mays. It's a great book, and I've got passages underlined and highlighted, and you can use so many things in that book just to help you. And one of the things we all need help with is perseverance.
Yeah.
Because it's like being an account executive. You're going to get 10 no's before you get one yes if you're selling anything. Mm-hmm. And you got to work through the no's and figure out how the no's can help you get that one yes.
Right.
Really, really important. Perseverance. I've been told no so many times it isn't funny. And you're human. You get down, you get bummed, you go, heck with this. I'm done with this. I'm not going to do it anymore. But then you wake up the next morning and you go, you know what? And I say this every day. I'm another day closer. When I woke up this morning to wherever I'm headed, to whatever goal I'm trying to seek, I'm another day closer. You have to believe that. You don't see it build.
Yes.
You do. You don't see it build from day to day. You really don't, but it does. And then you look back, and week to week, you may see a little bit, month to month, you definitely see a little bit more of it, but you have to keep on persevering. You can't take no for an answer. The great ones, the people you see on TV, the people that have reached the highest of highs, whether it be sports, whether it be business, they have not taken no for an answer, and they've persevered.
Exactly.
Yeah, really have.
Yeah, and then going back to another reference book, Relentless by Wayne Allen Root, there's a guy who takes no's all the time. So
right.
I think he says, I eat no for breakfast, kind of a thing. But you're right, though. I mean, but you have to put it in proper perspective. So somebody says no, big deal. How many times do I say no to people offering me stuff? How many times do salespeople call me and I'll listen to them, I'll be polite, but it's just like, no, I'm just not interested. Thank you for calling, but it doesn't mean just because you call, I'm going to want what you need or need what you want.
They have to give you a reason to say yes.
Right.
That's what they have. That's the game.
Yeah.
They have to give you a reason to say yes.
Exactly.
And that's where the creativity comes in, whether it's impressing somebody on the phone with a sales pitch, whether it's reading for a part in a play and how you read that. You got to give people a reason to say yes.
Well, obviously, and when you talk about being in radio or television and everything, you got the advertising aspect of it. When you think about advertising, the whole concept of advertising is to get people into that particular business or store and whatnot. Then it's up to the proprietor or the manager or the salesperson to convince you to purchase whatever item that they have on display or that they're offering to you. But, advertising can only play that one small part.
Right.
They get you in there.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's up to them to make sure that they persevere, get you to say yes.
Yeah, very much so. It's true. We talk about that in radio all the time about it's my job to get people to walk into a store.
Right.
It's the owner of Hate Ads Home Furnishings.
in Trinidad, Colorado.
In Trinidad, Colorado on Main Street to sell them the beautiful sofa. I can't sell them the sofa. I could give them an idea why they may need the sofa.
Right.
But I can't sell them the sofa, if that makes any sense.
I can't believe you used that as your illustration.
Hate Ads Home Furnishings.
But to highlight on your nose, that is one thing is perseverance is people are they're always expecting things to be easier than it will be. And they have to prepare it's going to be probably twice as hard as you think it's going to be.
I worked for 10 years on the Air Force broadcasts doing pregame, postgame, halftime before I got a shot at doing play-by-play. 10 years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it goes back to me. I put myself in position. That's exactly what I did, and I developed the necessary tools along the way. Fisher DeBerry, the great Air Force football coach who's retired, once said, and he said this to me when he was 55 years old. He was still coaching. He said, if you stop learning, you stop.
It's about as simple as it gets.
Stop learning, you stop.
I have nothing to say to that. That's exactly right.
It'd be profound as something Zig Ziglar would say, It's very easy to understand.
Right. And there's so many stories out there. I heard a story of a guy who tried to pass the bar and he couldn't pass the bar, and he tried to become a lawyer again, couldn't pass the bar, couldn't pass it. I mean, this went on for years. He finally passed the bar exam and became a lawyer. He was 61 years old. 61 years old. I mean, that's the definition of perseverance.
Exactly.
And passion, something that's driving you. Going back to the P word, passion. Yeah.
And what about the lady that you always use the example that she was, 80 years old? Or
70.
70.
Yeah, Grandma Moses.
Grandma Moses, right.
Yeah, 70 years, people told her, you got to work in the farm, you got to do the practical thing, earn a living. And finally, at 70, she gets the start to become an artist. And 40 years later, starting at age 70, 110, sells a painting worth whatever it was, more than she made in her entire life before that.
Yeah.
So,
isn't that amazing?
There's a lot of those stories out there. You don't hear about a lot of them. And there's a lot of them that dot the landscape. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we'd love to go on and on and on about more stories, but you've been absolutely great about being on the program today, and we really want to thank you for that, because I think it gave a lot of people some perspective on what it is to be a broadcaster and the goals that you have to set in order to achieve the success you want.
Well, I think you got to set them, you got to work at them, you got to remember them constantly. I think it's always got to be present. You can't put it in neutral.
Right.
You can't take your foot off the gas. There are days when you feel like you want to, okay? And those are days when you want to go home and run and hide and cry in bed. That's fine. You're human.
Yes.
Go ahead and do that.
It's going to happen.
Absolutely. Do that. But don't make that your constant state of behavior each and every day.
Oh, yeah.
Wake up the next day and say, you know what? I'm not going to take no for an answer, and get back at it.
Exactly. You got to keep pushing on that. Well, if you'd like to come back, we'd like to have you back because there's a lot of stuff up here I want to get back out to our listeners. Well, these lessons in your head.
If you want me back, you know the price. You see the invoice. I'm surprised you could afford me this one time. That's
yeah.
That's okay.
I'll buy him a cheeseburger.
That's all right. Yeah, without the cheese, no one.
That's right.
So.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Jim Arthur, thank you so much for being on the show and sharing the lessons.
Thank
you.
And if you want to do what Jim did and all our other guests that have been in the show, you have to do the same things they talked about. Develop your skill sets. And it's so easy now. I'll just focus on YouTube. Go to YouTube and type in motivational video, Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy, Dean Graziosi, John Asraf, anybody. Mel Robbins is one of the more popular ones out there now. But watch those videos. That's all you need nowadays. You don't have to go to seminars by the books. Watch the YouTube videos to start your path along the life you want to live, because you got to make sure that every day you do something to do anything to keep moving forward. Love the echo.
You've been listening to Profiles of Success on Success Radio USA with Chuck Bader and Jerry Evans, brought to you in part by the 365 Grand Club, Colorado Springs' only elite urban downtown club. So start enjoying the benefits of downtown with ease and prestige. Get your club card today at 365grandclub.com. That's 365grandclub.com. God bless you all, and see you next week on Profiles of Success.